Hello, explorers of the unknown, and welcome back to Alien Cases. Today, we're opening our files on a case that rarely sees the spotlight, a story that unfolded under the Brazilian sun in the city of Niterói, state of Rio de Janeiro, over 6 decades ago. This is the story of Clélia, a young housewife and mother whose ordinary day was abruptly shattered by an encounter that defies our understanding of reality. We're not here to tell you what to believe, but to present the events as they were reported so that you, in the end, can form your own opinion. Buckle up, because we're about to revisit Clélia's experience and her alleged abduction in Brazil, 1956. It was September 1956, a hot, unremarkable day in the state of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Clélia, then 22 years old and mother to 2 young daughters, left her home in the Cubango neighborhood of Niterói. Her destination, the nearby neighborhood of San Francisco, where a house for sale had caught her interest. An hour-and-a-half bus ride separated her from the property that could become her family's new home. Upon arrival, she met the owner, toured the house, spacious, promising, and felt it might just be the place. The viewing ended, and Clélia headed to the nearest bus stop to begin her journey back. The heat was intense, and the wait for the bus, known for its long intervals of nearly an hour, began to wear on her. Seeking some relief and a place to rest, Clélia sat down on a pile of large rocks beside the road. From there, her view stretched to the nearby beach, a lively scene with about 15 to 20 beachgoers enjoying the sand and sea. Watching the activity became her distraction as time crawled by. Her watch showed it was nearing 11 a.m. Worries started to set in. Her daughters, aged 1.5 and 3, were waiting for her for lunch. Time itself seemed to be working against her plans. It was then that a subtle noise, coming from the direction of the ocean, broke the monotony of the wait. Intrigued, Clélia scanned the horizon and noticed a luminous point descending from the sky, hovering over the water. That point seemed to be the source of the sound, which began to escalate in intensity, becoming a high-pitched, piercing hum. The noise grew to the point of being physically painful, forcing Clélia to cover her ears with her hands. Her eyes searched the faces around her for understanding. On the beach, she noticed a young man also shielding his ears, his face contorted in discomfort. Some bathers, previously carefree in the water, were now scrambling out, gathering on the sand in small groups. They pointed towards the luminous object, their gestures and expressions revealing a mixture of curiosity and alarm. This sound and this light were not normal. The object descended further, hovering perhaps 80 feet from the shore, about 50 feet above where the waves broke, almost touching the water's surface, but making no contact. The luminosity became unbearable, an incandescence that forced the eyes shut. Clélia instinctively closed her eyes, shielding them from the blinding light. When she opened them again, the beach was gone. The heat, the sound of the waves, the beachgoers, all vanished. She found herself lying on something cold and hard, a type of gurney or bed inside a curved corridor bathed in dim, diffuse light. How had she gotten there? The transition had been instantaneous, a lapse in consciousness, like waking up in a hospital after an accident with no memory of the impact. But this, she knew instinctively, was no hospital. The piercing hum persisted, though perhaps slightly muffled. Beside her, on a similar gurney, lay the same young man she had seen on the beach moments before, apparently unconscious. Before panic could fully take hold, 2 figures emerged from the gloom of the corridor, moving with unnerving calmness. They were tall, perhaps 5 feet 9 inches, and wore seamless, one-piece suits made of a material that shimmered like polished aluminum, covering them from head to toe, including hands and feet. Their faces were hidden behind translucent helmets, yet strangely fogged, preventing any identification of features. In absolute silence, the beings lifted Clélia and the young man from their gurneys. With surprising strength and precise movements, they carried them through an opening in the corridor into a large, circular room, perhaps 65 feet in diameter. Again, they were placed on similar beds. Clélia estimated that about 20 minutes had passed since she regained consciousness in this strange environment. Suddenly, a third figure approached. This one wore no helmet. He had gray hair, meticulously combed back, and very dark eyes that fixed on her intently. To Clélia's astonishment, he addressed her in Portuguese. But it wasn't common Portuguese. It was elaborate, almost archaic speech, using words and sentence structures that sounded highly educated, formal. Clélia, still dazed by the noise, complained about the incessant sound. The being replied, advising her not to cover her ears to avoid injury, and assured her the noise would soon cease. He explained the reason for her presence. She had been brought aboard for examination. Clélia asked about the unconscious young man. The answer was direct. He had been sedated because he lacked the capacity to face the situation without succumbing to fear, unlike her. As they spoke, the being's mouth barely moved when he talked. A square device, attached to a flexible, articulated arm on the wall, was maneuvered over Clélia's body. A purple light emanated from it, scanning her from head to toe, side to side. The noise, as promised, began to diminish, becoming more bearable. In a moment of strange lucidity, Clélia lamented not having a camera to document this. The gray-haired being inquired what such a device was. After her explanation, he promised that on a future encounter, he would provide a means of recording, stating they could locate her anywhere, though they preferred open environments with nature or water, as enclosed spaces hindered contact. "We are researchers, not enemies," he stated. He noticed Clélia's C-section scar and, upon learning its origin, commented on how backward human medicine seemed, leaving such visible marks. Before concluding, he warned her many of her memories of this encounter would be suppressed for her own safety, as few would believe her, and she might be deemed insane. But at the right time, the memory would return with sufficient clarity. She caught a glimpse of a command room with a large screen or window showing the outside as if through a thick fog. The entire experience, Clélia felt, lasted about 3 hours. As abruptly as she was taken, Clélia found herself back, sitting on the same cool rocks beside the road at the bus stop. The afternoon sun now bathed the landscape. The bus finally arrived. As she boarded, she recognized some faces, beachgoers from earlier, and, surprisingly, the young man who had been unconscious beside her on the craft. He now seemed merely tired, perhaps confused, but awake. Most passengers remained silent during the trip. Someone asked the time. The answer echoed through the bus, 4:30 p.m. Clélia glanced at her own wrist. Her watch had stopped. Time, for her, had fractured. Arriving home, Clélia's delay raised questions from her husband. She tried to explain, but the words failed her, the memories like smoke. She merely said she was late, that the house wasn't suitable. It was as if her own mind resisted accessing what had happened. Her wristwatch, taken to 3 different jewelers, was declared unrepairable, its internal mechanism inexplicably damaged. A week later, reading news reports about UFO sightings in the city of Magé, also in the state of Rio de Janeiro, the floodgates of Clélia's memory partially opened. Fragments of the experience on the craft, the conversation, the beings, the purple light, it all came rushing back. Still, uncertainty lingered. Was that everything? Or only what she was permitted to remember? The fear of ridicule kept her silent for nearly 20 years. Only when her youngest daughter turned 21 did Clélia finally share her story. Later, encouraged, she recounted her experience to UFO researchers who noted parallels with other cases and recorded her testimony, even subjecting her to hypnotic regression sessions in an attempt to validate or find inconsistencies in her narrative. Clélia's story remains an intriguing echo in the annals of Brazilian ufology. An ordinary housewife, an apparently normal day transformed into a close encounter. Was it a real abduction? A window into a reality beyond our own? Or perhaps an incredibly vivid lucid dream, a construct of the mind to fill inexplicably lost hours? The question of why she would invent such a tale 2 decades later adds another layer to the mystery. And what do you think about Clélia's case in Niterói, Brazil? Had you heard this story before? Do you believe something extraordinary truly happened on that day in 1956, or is there another explanation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love reading different perspectives. Your participation enriches our investigation into these enigmas. And if you enjoy unraveling these mysteries with us, don't forget to hit that like button. It's a simple, free gesture, but it helps us enormously to continue bringing these incredible cases to you, letting YouTube know to recommend our work to more UFO enthusiasts.